Hi, thanks for watching. Okay, so again on this Masterson case, okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about the letters, the character reference letters that were written by Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, and how Ashton and Mila have sort of dealt with this now that it's sort of come to light that they wrote these character letters and how they wrote the letters, okay, what they actually put in the letters. I think everybody who's talked about this pretty much has nailed the issues here. So I'm not really going to add anything new as far as information. I'm just going to add a little bit of what I think about this and just kind of some reflections. But yeah, like many people do, it's very normal. I work in criminal defense. It's very normal for family members, friends, former employers to send in character reference letters just as a mitigation for sentencing. It doesn't usually change the sentence very much. Okay, the judge usually bases her decision like 90% or 95% just on the facts of the case and just what's come up in the actual trial and also the sentencing hearing. Okay, but they'll put a little bit of weight sometimes on the letters. It just depends. In all the cases that I've worked on, the character reference letters had almost no impact on the actual sentencing. So I don't think it's that big a deal as far as the impact. I think the question here is maybe a little bit the hypocrisy, whether the things they put in the letter, both Mila and Ashton, whether those are really fair statements considering what we know about Danny Masterson. And I can just say from the character reference letters that I've seen for the clients that I've worked with, because I've worked in a lot of criminal defense. Okay, and so for most of the clients that I've worked with, the letters that I've seen are pretty much very similar. Okay, they usually paint the person in an extremely positive light, and I think most judges just kind of they expect that, so is there a little hypocrisy? I think to some extent, yes. Okay, is it a little bit just the standard way that those letters are written? Unfortunately, yes. I mean, that's just the way they're written. Is it possible that Scientology and Danny's family maybe sort of had something to do with what was put into the letters? Possibly, possibly. I think that's possible. Um, I don't know that to be absolutely true though. Okay, to be quite honest, but I think they may have been given some ideas. Like, hey, mention things that don't make him look like he uses drugs. Maybe just kind of giving them hints. That could be, because how would they know? How would Ashton independently know that the drug issue was so crucial to this case? So I think that probably came from the attorneys and possibly from Scientology. Um, Okay, but then let's talk about, like, do I think that's so terrible? Because I see it all the time. I work in criminal defense. I see this all the time. Okay, it's very normal to write a character reference letter. Okay, and it's very normal to exaggerate. I think the problem we're having here is I think there is a question whether because Ashton was so close to Danny and he probably partied with him pretty regularly. I think the real question, is whether these are outright lies and whether this is outright misrepresentation, because the question is whether Ashton Kutcher either knew directly or had reason to know or had known about at least, let's say rumors at the very least that Danny had a habit not only of abusing women, but also kind of a habit of drugging them, if that was maybe well known in his close circle of friends. I think there's some suggestion that Danny's wife, Bijou, from a pretty early point in the relationship, kind of suspected at the very least that he had a habit of doing things with girls, with women, maybe even including drugging them. Okay, so these are just questions. Okay, nobody knows, but I think some people believe that Ashton probably knows Danny well enough to know that the way he defended him in the character reference letter is almost materially misrepresenting at the heart of the merits of the case. Okay. So, and then the question becomes, well, gee, I mean, did Ashton know all along, and has he known all along material facts related to whether Danny is a sexual criminal? Okay. So that's more serious. But and I don't really know what to say about that, because I mean, probably in the real world, that's probably very normal. There's probably a lot of potential witnesses to a criminal case that never show up and never want to show up, maybe even because they're friends of the defendant. So that probably is kind of normal. The problem is that because Ashton Kutcher is a high profile person, and because he's a major influencer in the world, and he's a VIP celebrity and all that. I guess the idea is that maybe he's held to a higher standard, and it looks really bad if not only is he misrepresenting his friend, but it also looks like he actually has knowledge. Possibly, there's the question that he may have knowledge of the actual material facts of this criminal case that he was never a witness to, and he's actually misrepresenting, material facts that are material to the actual case. In other words, he may privately know personally whether there was a reputation that Danny may have had a reputation for drugging and abusing people, and just not only concealed it, but actually represented Danny as a different kind of person. So, that is kind of serious. The only thing I'm going to say, however, is are we just as outraged? Are we just as outraged that Donald Trump? Okay, he published. He didn't publish, but there was an interview of Donald Trump where way back, I think more than 10 years ago, maybe more than 15 years ago, he gave an interview to the press talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, and saying, yeah, it's well known that Jeffrey Epstein likes women almost as much as I do, although he likes them kind of on the young side. And so Donald Trump just said right out, he likes them kind of on the young side. He's kind of known for that. And it's funny, he said it kind of in a joking way, like it wasn't a big deal. Okay, but doesn't that suggest that Donald Trump may have actually known a lot about Jeffrey Epstein way back in the day, and even kind of let it be known, And yet, Donald Trump, I mean, it's like, should we not be just as outraged that Donald Trump may have known for a long time that Jeffrey Epstein possibly even knew that he was just trafficking all these like underage girls, and kind of had kind of a system, his like with his massages and, kind of recruiting young girls into his house. Maybe Donald Trump knew a lot about that, and we just kind of let that pass, like, oh, wow, yeah, Donald Trump knew something, whatever. But I think, Donald Trump's also a public figure and much more important than Ashton Kutcher, so are we going to be just as outraged sorry about those dogs, by the way. Wow. Apologize. Those are not my dogs. But anyway, so I apologize. Sorry. Anyway, so I just put that out there that Donald Trump also, is kind of in a similar situation. And do we hold Donald Trump to that same standard? I apologize. Anyway, so yeah, just some ideas, but how do I feel personally about it? At some point, I think we have to draw the line. I don't think we need to hold everybody to the. I don't know what to say. I mean, somehow I don't get to the point of total outrage, to be quite honest. I mean, yes, I think it sucks. If Ashton Kutcher actually knows things about Danny, if he really has knowledge that Danny had, or even a strong suspicion, or new rumors that Danny was involved in exactly this kind of behavior of drugging people and then abusing them. Well, I think it's bad. It's bad. I don't know how outraged I am. I don't know that every friend of every person has to be the person who takes on the role of doing what the police are supposed to do, to be quite honest. I don't know if that's a standard we want to set for our society. I think good friends, good friends are loyal, but I think good friends also don't cover up crimes. I mean, that's true. But I don't know that a good friend has to be like the lead witness. I'm not sure if that's the standard we want to set, because I think once you open that floodgate, how many good friends are guilty of something like that? I don't know. I'm not able to muster like full outrage at this, but I do recognize that if Ashton actually knows more about, if he actually knows things, or hardcore rumors, if he really knows serious rumors, and he has reason to believe that Danny had a habit of drugging people and then abusing them, well then maybe I'm not fully outraged, because they are friends, and the police are really the ones in charge of investigating this kind of thing. But I do admit that that's bad, and I do admit that the way he wrote the letter was potentially even like an outright misrepresentation. So yeah, do I think it's serious? Yeah, I do. So but that's if Ashton actually knows, or has a reason to know, that Danny had this habit of drugging people. So let's just leave it there. I think the big question is, and we're not going to know I guess it's still pending. We may never know absolutely, but the big question for now is, how much did Ashton know or have reason to know about Danny? That's the big question for now. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on this, and sorry about the dogs there, and thanks for watching.